Welcome first-time listeners and returners to the Sports Deli. The Sports Deli is sponsored by SportRx. SportRx is the leader in sports prescription eyewear. You can find them online at sportrx.com. And don't forget to enter the code DELI10 at checkout for your special 10% discount. A little bit about your hosts today, Hootie Hoot. I coached college basketball for 23 years, 15 on the men's side and 8 on the women. And I now coach at a low-income, first-generation high school girls basketball here in San Diego. I played 4 years of college basketball. I'm a life coach. I have a beautiful daughter. I'm a professional basketball skills trainer. We love to share space with our guests here in the Sports Deli to talk about the intersection between race and sports, mental health and sports, equality, empowerment, empathy, leadership, education, sports, and solutions. We want to help mobilize, listen, learn, and pay it forward. You can always send us an email to thesportsdeli@gmail.com, and you can also DM us on Instagram at Mike Hootner or on Twitter at Michael Hootner. We're so honored that you're joining us today, and we hope that you can grab your favorite deli sandwich or bagel and your favorite beverage, and let's do this together in the Sports Deli. We're so honored to welcome former UCLA head coach Jim Harrick, who led his 1995 Bruins to its 11th national championship over the Nolan Richardson-led 40 Minutes of Hell Arkansas Razorbacks. He was named the Naismith and Pac-10 Coach of the Year during that 1995 campaign, and Coach Harrick was Coach of the Year 4 times while at Pepperdine, while earning 4 trips to the NCAA tournament. He won 62% of his games as a head coach and had winning seasons 13 out of 15 times. He's currently an assistant coach at Cal State Northridge under his former assistant coach at UCLA during that national championship run, Mark Gottfried. In addition to Pepperdine, he was also the head coach at Georgia and the University of Rhode Island, where he coached former NBA star and recent star on All the Smoke with Matt Barnes, Lamar Odom. He started his coaching career at Morningside High School in Inglewood in 1964, the year John F. Kennedy was assassinated on November 22nd. He was an assistant coach at Utah State and UCLA before becoming a head coach. He shares a birthday with Sweetness, Walter Payton, Emmett Till, and Mel Kiper Jr. Coach Harrick was born in Charleston, West Virginia, about 8 miles from Rand, where Randy Moss was born. Coach, we can't thank you enough. It's truly an honor. We've had a lot of people on the show, from Jay Billis to Coach Jarvis, by the way, says hello, and Ben Braun, and but there's nothing like having Coach Harrick on. So welcome to the Sports Deli. We're honored.
Thank you, Mike. It's nice to be here.
Hoot. I'm sure. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, in the back, Hoot.
I got a lot of things in the back, including the UCLA hat back there.
Yeah.
I got a Joe Namath autograph. I got Coach Wooden's pyramid that actually the Lav got me when I first started working your camps.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So how are you hanging in there with this crazy year?
Oh, it's the worst year I've ever had. This wasn't enjoyable at all, and I opted out most of the year, so I wasn't really around until I got my shots. And
yeah,
so it was crazy.
So I wanted to ask you first. I mentioned it a little bit in the intro. So you started coaching in 1964 at Morningside.
The first year Coach Wooden won his national championship.
Wow.
So as a coach, I looked at that and watched that all that year, and I said, "Holy mackerel!" Then he won it in '65 too, and my high school team, what I played like that, and I just fell in love. In love with the way they played, and I dedicated myself to learning everything I could about how to play the John Wooden. And I thank the Lord every day for the John Robert Wooden system of basketball. Not the only way to play, just the best.
That's right. So just before you started coaching, on August 28th of that previous year, Martin Luther King delivered his "I Have a Dream" speech, and then 86 days later, JFK was assassinated. Can you take us back to that year and how that affected you?
Well, I was teaching in the classroom when they announced it over the public address system that John F. Kennedy had been assassinated. And those are one of those, you know where you are and you never forget where you are on those kind of days. And I was a college senior, and John F. Kennedy and Jackie came to Charleston, West Virginia, and campaigned, and it was completely Republican state. And boy, he just wowed everybody, and everybody fell in love with him. And he got elected, and you know, I coached at Morningside High School, and it was just a time where all young people were, you know, maybe confused. I'm not sure, but you know, I think our country's gone through periods where, you know, there's been shakeups and different kinds of things like that, and to have a person assassinated, I mean, that's as bad as anything could ever happen. And then certainly too in the Kennedy family, that's really not supposed to happen. It's a sad, sad time for all of us.
Did you talk to your players? Did they want to talk to you when you took over at Morningside?
Oh, absolutely. We would sit down and talk about things like that, and you know, there was so much. You know, I started there, and you know, I'm at Morningside, and right after that, you know, John Carlos, they held the Black Fist up at the Olympics, and
right.
And I spent my time talking to my players about, you know, there's a right way and a wrong way, and Martin Luther King had the right way, and if you want to follow someone, that's a guy to follow, because he wanted to do it peacefully, he wanted to do it the right way, and I thought he was making tremendous progress with people. He really resonated with young people.
I know you used to talk about this in camp, you know, and in the coaching sessions. You know, it was a lot of fun, obviously, during the camps, and the coaches would get together afterwards, and you talk about your early days. But what tools did you have in your toolbox to go from Charleston, West Virginia, to Morningside that allowed you to feel comfortable in your own skin and just you know the rest of the story? Like, what was it about your upbringing?
Well, first of all, I had to, you know, shoot, I went to high school, we were segregated. And
Wow.
we all played on the playground in the summer. And we got to know these guys. They went to another high school across town, not very far. So on Monday, they would get in their cars and come over to our playground, we'd play. Wow. Full court basketball. Tuesday, we'd go over there. Wednesday, they'd come to our place, and Thursday, we'd go back over there. And, you know, we got to know these guys and became really good friends with them. And you're talking about, you know, early days, late 50s. Right. And still it was, you know, we just wanted to play ball. That's all. And that's all that they wanted to do and all we wanted to do. And I got married. I graduated from college and got married that summer and left that night and came to California. But I had to, you have to have 5 years to teach in high school. So I went back to UCLA Extension and got my 5th year while I was teaching, and I started playing a lot of basketball every night. You know, we're playing industrial league and all that stuff. And I ran into Lee Smeltzer. He was on another team, and he was really good, and I was pretty good. And we became really, really good friends. And he hired me at Morningside High School. And
wow.
I went over there as the JV coach and JV basketball and JV baseball coach in 1964. And it was just you know, the Lord guides your life, and he guided me all the way. You know, you think it's coincidence, but it certainly isn't. And everything, you know, I've done, I've been guided to, and I was there, and I spent 5 years as a JV coach. And wow. Lee got the College of the Canyons. When they opened the College of the Canyons, he got that job, and I became the head basketball coach at Morningside High School. And 4 years later, we had #1 high school team in America, voted by Basketball Weekly magazine, and we just had a run of great young guys. And I've always, you know, I've said to everyone that, you know, kind of my niche in life is I've coached nothing but African American basketball players, and that's a good thing. It's a good thing. We've had a great relationship. I've got some, it's funny. We were in Vegas for some games on Christmas, and Jackie Robinson, one of my great players at Morningside High School, who's lived over there since, came down to the hotel and we had dinner together and sat and talked for 3 or 4 hours about everybody and rehashed all our players and all the games in high school. And just the other day, I got a call from our Pepperdine guys. Dane Suttle was all-time leading scorer in the history of Pepperdine. Carmel Stevens' son plays on our team now, so I reunite with him, and we're getting ready to hire Dwayne Poley, who played for me at Pepperdine. And so, it's just been a bond and a great relationship. And, 1 year ago, we had a Zoom call with 18 of our UCLA players that won the national championship, managers, coaches, personnel. And it was one of the greatest nights of my evening and of my life. And so those are the kind of relationships that you build, and you can't break that bond. You can't break that bond. I've just got some great, Lamar and I are really close. Some great players at Rhode Island and Georgia, and I coached in the development league and got some really good players that I can still keep in contact with. So, with email and things, text and things, you just text guys, and you always got everybody's number. And you just once in a while I'll just go through there and text the guy, how you doing, hope things are well. And they do that to me too. Just want to know, Coach, how you feeling, how you doing. Talked to Ed O'Bannon the other day on a text, and it's just those are the benefits. Those are the great things you get out of coaching.
I want to thank CityLokes.com, where you can get your own personalized hats and phone cases, tees, accessories, and much, much more. I ordered 2 hats, and they're amazing. One of them says the Sports Deli, and it has a California license plate, and the other one has a Michigan license plate and says "Speak Up and Dribble, Black Lives Matter." So check them out at CityLokes.com, and don't forget to enter the code THESPORTSDELI at checkout for your special 10% discount. And now back to this incredible interview with Jim Harrick, head coach of the 1995 national champion UCLA Bruins, who's coached almost 60 years right here in the Sports Deli. Oh man, I could listen to it for hours, like I remember being at the camp after camp. It's just you're an amazing storyteller, but I find it just incredible. Like, I was integrated in 5th grade in the early 80s, and you were doing this 30 years before, when there had to have been some criticism. Maybe there wasn't. You said you were going back and forth on different days, and everybody just accepted each other. It's just mind blowing. And it just shows you that, this institutional racism and the racial reckoning we're going through. We've had Dr. Richard Lapchick on. We've had a lot of people on, and it's a learned thing. And sports, through whether we've had Chris Johnson on, we've had Jelani on, we've had a lot of guys on, and this better than anybody. Sports really bridges the divide. And it's that common language.
It really does, Mike. It really does. There might be 1 or 2, 3% of the people in high school, college, and that make a mistake once in a while. But really, most of the coaches, really have a great relationship with their players, and most of the time you never see black or white. You just coach.
Yeah.
And that's probably one of the real good things that's come out of it.
Yeah, well, there's definitely, Bill Curry was on the show also, who I'm sure played for Vince Lombardi. And you and him are really similar in terms of, your energy and just the way that you've approached life. And I remember when Jelani was, we were joking about, how we were imitating you, and, this camp is very, very, and then he, obviously he had an unfortunate situation at the time, and he imitated you about how, McCoy, are you smoking weed in the dorms, McCoy? But one of the things that they talked about with you was how endearing you were, and how calm you were, no matter what. And we have a lot of people that listen to the show that are either coaches or players or former players. And uh, what lessons do you think the way that you handle yourself, because everybody has to be true to themselves, right? You can't be somebody else. But how does that apply to life?
I know as a JV coach, I was probably wild, and I was, and I had a vice principal uh, uh, at Morningside High School who was a dear friend. He took me aside one day and he says, "Hey, just calm down now a little bit. I'm gonna watch you now. I want you to calm down. You're too good to do what you're doing on the bench." And so that helped me a lot. I try to do that. And probably once or twice a year, we all us coaches embarrass ourselves in one way or the other. Yelling and screaming, acting like a fool. And I certainly learned from Coach Wooden that you do your coaching from 3 to 5:30 every day.
Yeah.
And once the game starts, my job's over. Now I can make substitutions and make adjustments and do something, call some timeouts and give some correction here or there. But as far as coaching the offense or the defense, I mean, you've done your job. And so, mostly I was a sit down coach, and I got better and better and better. And I really got better when we won it. Then you really became a little more calm, and to understand that if you're really good enough to win the game, you're probably going to win it. And if you're not good enough, you're probably not going to win it.
Yeah.
And so that helped me a lot too. And I think most of the time I was really calm. I lost my poise about a couple times every year. And you always had your wife there to remind you that you're a fool. You make a fool out of yourself. And that's a good thing.
Yeah, no, time flies. It definitely has for me, and I know it has for you. You've left a legacy in so many different ways. But the UCLA days, when Lav came on, he talked about even at 99, Coach Wooden was doing a deep dive into the correlation between different religions, because he was a lifelong learner, and Lav's dad was a teacher. And so, how do you continue to be a lifelong learner yourself, because you are? And what are you sharing with Mark now and the team when you're there, to help them, in the next generation of players and coaches?
Coach Wooden always had a saying: "It's what you learn after you know it all that counts." and I learned from him again to take one part of the basketball game and every summer learn a little bit more about it, get a little bit better at it. Whether it be ball handling, passing, dribbling, shooting, whether you want to run a different kind of offense, whether you want to run a motion, whether you want to do this or that. And I tried to do that. And I've told coaches in every clinic I've ever been, work your craft, be good at your craft, study it, work it. And when you do, you'll know that you're good. You'll have great self-confidence in your ability to coach a team. And if you work at your craft and get a little bit better every single year. And that's what I tried to do, get a little bit better every year. I was a better coach the other day than I was, better coach the second year after winning the national championship than I was during the national championship. There'll be a lot of people disagree with that, Mike, but I know. And I took that to Rhode Island, and I said, all right, let's see how everything works. I'm running the same offense that I ran in Morningside, the same plays, the same out of bounds plays.
Amazing.
And they're just solid, and they just work. And, almost 90% of the stuff I got is Coach Wooden's. And I do a lot of defensive stuff that Pete Newell did.
Right.
And all that big man stuff is Pete Newell stuff. When I was at Pepperdine, I'd send Tom Asbury, my assistant, to Hawaii during the Pete Newell big man camp, and we tape every day. We would tape Pete Newell, and we brought that library back and we incorporated it into our game, and consequently, our big guys have been really fundamentally very sound with great footwork and great moves and things. And certainly it attributes to how good you are too. But we've got it all in the game there. And I really only followed two guys, Wooden and Newell. And you pick things up. I got a lot of zone stuff from some guys and this and that along the way that I really like. And, I've tried to pass it all along in clinics and things to other guys and coaches. But Coach Wooden had an unbelievable knack, not the only way to play the game, just the best.
Oh man, incredible! I remember going to all the coaching clinics. Those were big things back when I was, starting out. And I don't know if they're just not as big a thing anymore. There's just different ways to learn. And when you reflect back on those UCLA days, it's just ridiculous how it ended. But that's just the way that you're supposed to go, I guess. But looking back on it, what do you take away most besides the national championship, the relationships?
Well, I had a great run. I had a great run at UCLA. We went to the tournament every single year, and built a great program there. We were in top 5 in the country, and so that was fine. I take a lot of I see a lot of coaches go from Pepperdine to UCLA and a mid-major to a major, and kind of recruit the same guys they were recruiting before at Pepperdine. And that doesn't work. So the ability to transfer from say different kind of player to a different kind of player, and Mike, I coached in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2010, and 20. Amazing. And I'm proud of that. And you just adjust along the way. I know the guys at Pepperdine guys at Northridge had great respect for me and learned and wanted to learn and wanted to work and wanted to come in and work out with you. And so, there's a great sense of, whatever you did. And I've always said, people say, oh, how kids are different. How are they different? Well, they're different in the fact that they want it just a little bit quicker, but they want to be taught and want to be coached and want to be taught fairly. They want to win. They want to work really, really hard. They want to have success, and that hasn't changed from the 60s till now. The only thing is they want to be LeBron James in one swoop, and that just doesn't happen. It's like education; it just comes slowly. You got to build it into everything you're doing, and work at it, and work at your craft, and as a player, you got to work at your craft. Like Kobe Bryant was a great one to work at his craft and get better and better and better. And I want players to do that, get better and better, see how much better you can get each and every day. And that's what your job is. You've been given this God-given talent, and to repay him, you got to really work hard and become the best you can possibly become.
Well, they want you to be genuine too. So that's incredibly important that they know that you care about them, especially now in these days. Back then it was just do as I say, and now it's a little bit more extrapolated from there. Give props to PSK Collective. Be inspired in PSK, where their clothing promotes inclusivity, empowerment, and equality by supporting female athletes through the Women's Sports Foundation. You can find them online at pskcollective.com or at walmart.com. And now back to this incredible interview with Jim Harrick, head coach of the 1995 national champion UCLA Bruins, who's coached almost 60 years right here in the Sports Deli.
Like you can take this, you can fool a fool, and you can con a con, but you can never kid a kid.
That's right.
No, they know.
They do. Yeah. So do you like the way that the game has changed and it's more open style?
Well, I personally, I think the three-point shot has really hurt the game more than it's helped the game. Yeah. It might be exciting for some, but what it's done is made everybody a three-point shooting team, and you've taken away all your offensive sets, and you've gone to screen and roll and stay in the corner and shoot the three. You've taken all kinds of individual movement out of the game of basketball. Not everybody, but 70, 80% of the teams I watch just set a screen, and get guys off the ball, try to penetrate and kick and shoot the three. That's a whole game. And I don't play that way, but to me, it's taken away from the give and go and the real, college basketball has always been a medium range jump shooting game.
Yeah.
And I watch all kinds of games, and there's no medium range shooters anymore. I just watched the Brooklyn and Milwaukee, and Kevin Durant is one of the greatest medium range shooters I've ever watched. He's a guy at 6'10", 11, 7 foot. He can shoot the three like it's easy, and he can get to any spot on the floor.
Amazing.
He can't stop the medium, then he can get to the rim. And boy, what an offensive talent that young man is.
Yeah, really. Well, there's nothing that was more exciting in terms of college basketball finals, and Keith Smart's shot and Michael Jordan's shot, both mid-range game winners. Yeah, and so I agree with you. Yeah.
That's true.
Over the years, obviously you've developed some amazing relationships. Who have you learned from, and who do you call maybe your brother, in terms of the coaching world, and who do you admire, and who did you learn a lot about, maybe after you were done at Rhode Island and Georgia and UCLA? They didn't really know them, and you got to know them, and you were like, wow, what an amazing person.
Well, when I retired, Kiki Vandaway, whose dad was my pediatrician when I was at Morningside High School, his dad was a pediatrician.
Denver.
Working out of the Curl and Joe Clinic right over there in Inglewood. And
wow.
Kiki used to shoot hoops in my gym as an eight-year-old. And
wow.
And then I was assistant at UCLA, and Kiki played there. And so we didn't have shoot-arounds then. But Kiki would always call me and say, hey, let's go shoot. Even on the road, we'd get up and go shoot, and we'd go come to Poly and shoot, and because he wanted to shoot. So that was part of it. And then when I retired, he was general manager of Denver Nuggets. He said, no, you're not quitting. He says, you're going to come work for me. And I scouted for him for 3 years. And really, I really learned to admire Nate McMillan. I watched his team, Seattle teams play when they had Ray Allen. Whoo! Boy, were they good. And George Karl, he came to Denver and coached, and I just fell in love with him because he really knows the game. He's really enthusiastic. He's up and positive, and certainly I got to know Popovich pretty good. And I knew Popovich. I was a coach at Morningside. He was a coach at Pomona Pitzer out in Pomona.
Amazing.
And so we go back that far.
Yeah.
So to watch these guys coach, which you're so busy coaching your own team, you got tunnel vision, and you're recruiting, and you don't have time to watch all these other guys. But I certainly got to watch those guys and really admire how they coach a basketball team and how they build a basketball team. They're really, really, really good. And there are some others that I liked also.
What coach impresses you now? Obviously, the usual suspects, but I talked to Gordon, one of my co-hosts, about this. Coach K seemed a little bit cranky this year, understandably, and somebody mentioned that he's basically Coach Knight with a filter. And it was just a hard year.
I think the guy that the last 5 to 7 years have done the best job of anybody is Jay Wright at Villanova.
Yeah.
He's very solid, very sound, not flashy, but fundamentally, I watch him on tape, very fundamentally sound. And I've got an assistant that worked at Creighton. He called me one day, and they were in the league. He called me one day, and he played for me at Rhode Island. He called me, he says, Coach, I'm watching Villanova on tape. He says, they do everything we do. And I'd spend some time with Jay, giving him some stuff, the
that's awesome. Stuff,
and practice plan, how to plan your practice and things. And he incorporated it. And I think he's done a great job for the last 5-7 years in college basketball.
Yeah, he has. Well, and you guys have similar personalities. He's very calm. He doesn't get upset very often, and certainly works well for him and his style. Um,
And boy, I tell you, he recruits the kind of guys that he can coach and fit into the Villanova system. And I was completely retired, and I do some speaking for some people and everything. And at the Final Four, and go around and speak. Give dog and pony shows to fans and things. And I worked for this gal, and she called me one day. She said, "Hey, I need you badly over at Villanova's. Villanova's here. They were in the Final Four. Need you badly at Villanova's booster dinner."
right. Yeah.
And so I get ready to drive out there, and drove into this airport hangar. And there were 3,500 people there. I mean, it was amazing.
Wow.
The Nova Nation, they called it.
That's crazy.
And I learned a lot about the Nova Nation, boy. Woo, is it big and strong and unbelievable. And
Raleigh.
Built that. Yeah. Now, here's a fact, Mike, you got to remember, he's built that monster, and he's got to feed that monster.
Yeah.
And that monster's hard to feed, boy, tough to feed. Can't have a couple down years, Yeah. I look around and I know how taxing this year was for Roy Williams, for Lon Kruger, two guys that say, just wore you out. It just wears you out. And I can see why they would, they said, okay, my health, everything, that's enough.
Yeah.
And I admire them for doing that. Admire them for getting out the way they did, and have a lot of respect for them. But it wears you out. It was a hard year on everybody. And there's part of me that says, I don't know how in the world an athletic director can fire a basketball coach during a pandemic. I just don't understand that. And if the NCAA gives the players a free year, then the athletic directors ought to give the coaches a free year, because it was an awful situation to try to build a team in this environment.
Totally. And not only those coaches retired, we lost a lot of coaches this year, Lute Olson and John Chaney and Big John and, Kobe last year. I mean, it has been an unbelievable year.
All that I was very, very close to, very close. Chaney and I worked at the foul, played him when I was in the Atlantic 10. And of course, I had some fierce battles, just unbelievable battles. 7 and 8 pros on the floor at the same time. It was just unbelievable. And I got to know John when I went back east pretty good. And Kobe and I shared the same agent when I won it, and he came out in '95. So we'd be in his office, and Kobe'd grab me and say, "Hey, tell me about it." He explained how you do it. And like, give me this. He'd have so many questions for you, couldn't answer them. And he was such an enthusiastic guy. And I look back at that, and all these guys are my age. And boy.
Yeah, there was definitely some incredible battles for sure. So one of the things that we like to talk about on the show is mental health. A lot of players have come out from the WNBA to Kevin Love, UCLA grad, and others in the NFL. It's not as taboo, and in the Black and brown communities for a long time, it's either taboo or you get roasted, if you don't act right. And so, do you think that athletic departments should have sort of the Pete Carroll philosophy, where you have someone always available, for the kids to just, care about them off the court? And
I think since I was at UCLA, we've always had someone available for young people. It's hard for them to admit that they need to talk to somebody. What do you think? I'm crazy kind of attitude. And that was very, very difficult. I got to know Meta Peace this year. His son played for us a little bit out at Northridge. And I watched his 30 for 30. And, it's really interesting. I've had more doctors tell me that more young people through the pandemic have become depressed and different kinds of things like that. And we have, I don't know any school that doesn't have a psychologist available. And then if they go to them, then they could go to a psychiatrist. And It's all paid for and free, and they should be able to take care of that. And it's just hard for a young person to step up and say, "Hey, I need to talk to a psychologist." They just don't do that. And everyone I've tried for, they look at you sideways like you think I'm crazy or something like that. And it's not, I lost my wife, and boy, I tell you, I was depressed for a year. I wouldn't come out of my house, and it's hard. It's really very, very difficult.
Yeah, I'm sorry for your loss, Coach. But the other thing is, though, they don't look at it in terms of growth and evolution the way that they do with basketball, right? So if you go and work on yourself between the ears and above the eyebrows, if you look at it along those terms, then you grow, but it takes time. It's not an overnight thing. You can't just talk to somebody for an hour and feel like it's going to be fixed. So I think if they approached it from that standpoint, we grind it out on the court, but off the court, we don't want to work on what's up here.
We had a young guy a while back that he'd go along as a good player, solid player, but he would just lose it. One time he just walked out of the gym during a game. And, so we called him in, and I asked him, I said, "Do you think in your mind that you have a problem sometimes?" Because every time they call foul on him, he'd look at the official and throw his hands up and say, "You can't do that. You can't do that." And he said, "Yeah, I do have a problem." I said, "Well, let us help you." But he, hard for him to admit. It's hard for him to gather energy to go see somebody and say, "Hey, I want help. Help me." Somehow we got to get over that barrier, because mental health is really a serious problem with our young people today.
Yeah, and we don't want it to get to the point, where Billy Knight, shows us such a sad video and takes his own life and those types of things. And it's just really, my dad committed suicide when I was 9. So, it's just something that I've, understood from a young age, and always try to take a holistic approach like you to coaching, to care about the kids, both on and off the court. So it's everyone's a little bit different in how they handle those things, but you've always taken that holistic approach, which is amazing.
Sure.
So I want to ask one last question before we get to the rapid fire, the fun part. And shut up and dribble or speak up and dribble, right? And obviously, there's been a shift, whether you want to call it political or the fact that athletes are always at the forefront, whether it's Muhammad Ali or Jackie Robinson or John Carlos, Arthur Ashe, Colin Kaepernick, whoever we're talking about. And so the one thing that has been sort of one of the common themes is more white people have stepped up this time, from my perspective and a lot of people's perspective, than we've ever seen before. And, policies are starting to get shifted. I don't know, completely changed. There is a different vibration from what I can tell. Is that something that you sense also? Do you think we're going in a better direction? You were in the civil rights era, and this is the racial reckoning now, Dr. Lapchick calls it. But
I think anything we do is a positive step. And my whole thing is I'm trying to change you, or you're trying to change me. And the way you do that is by example. Most of the time you raise your children by example, and you change things by example. And if we can do that, I think we can make progress in every area.
Yeah. How proud were you of Mark and how he handled, because it's probably different questions from parents now, and, what the culture is going to be like on campus, and, how you care about my kid, not just basketball,
Yeah, he's really good. He's really good in situations like that. He can really command a room and handle situations that come up like that. He's very, very good at that.
Yeah, that's great. Well, he's definitely lucky to have you as that voice of reason. He's pretty calm too. I've seen him get a little animated, but he's got good command on the sidelines, and I've always loved watching him. Lorenzo's a little bit different, Lav's a little bit different. It was just amazing, all of you who were on the sidelines there for that national championship run, and the paths that all of you have taken. It's really remarkable, to be quite honest with you. How proud of you are of all those guys.
Real good guys. Real good guys. Real good guys.
Yeah. So excited to finally be supporting Moolah Kicks. They're dropping in May of 2021. They are the first female-only brand basketball shoe, and you can find them online at Moolah. Moolah is Moolah, Kicks, like shoes, Kicks, plural, moolahkicks.com. And now back to this incredible interview with Jim Harrick, head coach of the 1995 national champion UCLA Bruins, who's coached almost 60 years right here in the Sports Deli. All right, let's get this thing rocking and rolling here. Buckle your seatbelt, Coach. American Bandstand or dinner with jukeboxes?
American Bandstand.
Watching a movie at a drive-in or a movie theater?
Movie theater.
Marlon Brando or Paul Newman?
Tie.
Oh my, okay. Jerry Lewis or James Stewart?
James Stewart was an actor. Jerry Lewis was a comedian. Both were great in each field.
Yeah. Some of Jerry Lewis, his facial expressions, I gotta tell you, man, he absolutely, hilarious. Elizabeth Taylor or Marilyn Monroe?
Ooh. Well, Marilyn didn't have the staying power as Elizabeth Taylor did.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Bob Hope or Dick Clark?
Bob Hope was one of the all-time greatest of all time. He might be the GOAT of comedians. The GOAT of comedians.
He might be. I agree. Sean Connery or Sidney Poitier?
Sidney was a great actor, but so was Sean. But I would go with Sidney on that. He was a little more staying power.
Yeah. Larry King or Phil Donahue?
Larry King. He's still doing it. Woo, God bless him.
I know. Johnny Carson, Dave Letterman, or Lawrence Welk?
Oh, no. Johnny Carson is, if Bob Hope was a GOAT, the second GOAT was Johnny Carson.
There you go. Psycho, 12 Angry Men, or Animal House?
I like Animal House.
That's classic. Oh, man. Rockies, Jaws, or Star Wars?
I'm going to go with Rocky.
Yeah, classic. Yeah. I Love Lucy, Three Stooges, or Abbott and Costello?
Abbott and Costello, they might be the third GOATs of all time.
Totally.
They were the greatest. And young people will listen to this, never even heard Abbott and Costello. No. I mean, they were terrific. Costello was one of the greatest of all time. Might be the third GOAT in that comedian line.
I agree. Hilarious. Honeymooners, The Rifleman, Gilligan's Island, or All in the Family?
All in the Family, because we still watch it.
Man,
my wife loves it. Just sits there and laughs at it.
Groundbreaking show for sure.
Yeah.
The Twilight Zone, Dick Van Dyke, or Get Smart?
I'm going to go with Dick Van Dyke because we were at the Dick Van Dyke show when my wife water broke on our first son.
Wow.
Leave and rush to the hospital.
That's incredible.
I got to know Danny Thomas when I was out here, and he was wired in with them.
Interesting.
And he got us tickets to go to the Dick Van Dyke shows.
Oh, wow.
Watching Dick Van Dyke and Mary Tyler Moore and that kind of.
That's classic. Dick Van Dyke or MASH?
See, I knew Jamie Farr too. He was really, really popular, and those are tough. That's a tie right there.
That's a tie.
Really good though. Max was good. Boy, Aldo was great in that.
Aldo was great. I agree. Popcorn or candy at the movies?
I got to go with popcorn.
Butter?
Popcorn fan.
Butter?
No.
No butter. Wow.
No butter.
Interesting. Well, KJ, Jelani, and Ray all like butter.
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise you, I'm sure. Well, French toast I got to say, Jelani was really upset when things transpired. He spoke so highly of you.
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
I love Jelani. He was going to be a great one for us too, and it was sad. Chris too. It
Yeah,
hurt Chris.
yeah. How proud are you of Barron and Matt and Jelani? You know, they got Media 34, they got Slick, they have
You
all
know,
these things going on. It's amazing.
I recruited Matt, but I never coached him, and I really
Yeah,
don't know him that well. But Barron and I were just really close, and
yeah,
Jelani and Chris, and I come to admire those guys, love those guys, wonderful kids.
yeah. I've heard them a lot. There's this new app called Clubhouse, and they've been
Mm-hmm.
on there a lot, and just listening to some of the things they talk about from the black dollar to
Chris Johnson, I've listened. I listened to him just the other day, and he's really good. He's really
very
good
good.
interviewer.
Yeah,
Really good.
he's doing a great job. Yeah, and he was on he was on too, and he and I got into it a little bit. It was very interesting because we were talking about reparations, and I triggered it with something that I said I didn't mean to, and it was a good discussion. But I think it's important that you can have some conversations that get a little heated, but people learn from it. So. Okay, so French toast, pancakes, or waffles?
Oh, French toast kills them all.
So do you have French toast with like just plain white bread or challah or what kind of toast do you use?
Oh, I think I'd go with. I'd probably go with white bread.
There you go. The peanuts.
Waffles a second though.
Yeah, second is definitely waffles. Peanuts, Charles Schultz. Peanuts, or Scooby Doo.
Well, if you talk about M&M peanuts, they win. They win the race. Maybe the best candy of all time, M&Ms.
There you go. Favorite music genre you like to listen to?
I have on my thing. Certainly have Frank Sinatra and Barbara Streisand.
Oh.
I certainly have Whitney Houston and Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
And I have Kenny Rogers and Lady Antebellum. Those are mine. Those are kind of the ones that I listen to more than I love Lionel Richie.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my style.
I love it. Rocky Marciano, Muhammad Ali, Joe Louis, or Mike Tyson?
The GOAT of all time is Muhammad Ali. Yeah. The GOAT. GOAT.
Jack Nicklaus or Tiger Woods?
Woo! I play golf a lot. I'm not going to handle that one very well. I love them both. They're both really, really, really good.
Yeah.
Boy. Whatever, it would really be hard to vote against Tiger. But Jack's longevity and what he's done over the long period of time, I think Tiger would have broken everything if his body hadn't broken down just a little bit.
Yeah. Who's your favorite player to coach?
Oh, my son played for me, so
that's right.
That's really a hard question because every day's a new day. I start fresh every day, and got a lot of guys I love.
But who was a sponge? Like who loved learning more than anyone else?
I had a kid named Jonas Hayes at Georgia, who's now the assistant basketball coach at Xavier. Oh. He had a twin, Jarvis, who got drafted 9th in the NBA. But Jonas was as spongy a guy that you ever want to meet from the standpoint that he almost knew he was going to coach. I couldn't put anything in that he just didn't master and gobble up. And he wasn't a great player, but he was a good player, of course, and he helped us a lot. But you're not an NBA player or anything, but they were twins.
Wow.
And one went on to the NBA, but one went on coaching. Jonas Hayes knew. I mean, I don't know if he knew, but kind of psychologically, he says, somewhere in his mind said, "You're going to coach, so you better pick all this stuff up." And
that's right.
Well, he did. He was a sponge.
That's interesting.
For me at Georgia.
Yeah, that's cool. Dishes, vacuuming, or laundry?
Dishes, vacuuming, or laundry. I'm a vacuum guy.
Do you like to have the lines like perfectly? Do you have the whole system?
Especially on the rug. It's at least I tell my wife, give me the least intelligent thing to do, vacuum.
That's right. A few more. Bing Crosby, Nat King Cole, Billie Holiday, or Duke Ellington.
Bing was a trendsetter and very, very good. But boy, I'm telling you, Nat King Cole, if there's a GOAT, he's right under him. He's right under him. You're talking about my era now.
Yep.
And boy, he was something. He was really something.
Nobody else has had these questions before, Coach. I assure you. Coach Curry had some different ones for sure. Bingo, Scrabble, or puzzles?
Well, I kind of like, I'd say bingo. I'll go with bingo.
I love
bingo. Play a lot with our grandkids. And that's
awesome.
When we go on vacation, we have a little cup here, and play little bingo games, and they get to pull in. They either get a gift card or $1 or something. They get so excited or something.
That's great. That's great. How do you like being a grandfather?
Oh, I had my first great this week.
Wow. Congrats. That's awesome.
Yeah. First great this week. And so exciting. I got what I call the divine nine, and they are divine. The greatest thing your children can give you are grandchildren. Yeah. Just absolutely spectacular. Now I got a great grandchild. So I'm going up next week in Salt Lake City and see her.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Today's my grandmother's 92nd birthday. So it's great to have you on her birthday.
You need to call her and be there for her.
Definitely. Yep. My mom's there visiting, and I called her today, and she had a great brunch. So it was great to have her be around family and stuff. Famous phrases from the 50s we don't really say anymore. Cruising for a bruising, knuckle sandwich, or burn rubber.
Cruising for a bruising. I used to say that all the time.
Famous phrases of the 2000s. Bling or dope?
I don't like dope, so I'll go with bling.
That's fire or peace out?
That's fire.
Chill out or you're tripping?
You're tripping.
Speaking of tripping, Dick Vitale, Bill Walton, or Lav as an announcer?
Woo! I'm going with my boy Lav.
I think
a little you
tickle the twine
with your heart, not your head.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, KJ said that he loves Lav. Obviously, he lived with him for a while when he was in New York at St. John's, and he said he's enamored with Lav. He just loves him, and Lav might coach again. We hope that he gets another job if it's a good fit.
I hope he does too. I'm gonna go watch him.
Yeah, for sure. Hank Aaron or Jackie Robinson? I think I know the answer.
Ooh, come on, that's right under goats or goats.
Yeah.
Those two guys are right there at the top of the goat list too. Yeah, you can't choose between those two. No way.
Bill Belichick, Phil Jackson, Pat Summitt, or Gino Auriemma?
Woo. Phil Jackson in basketball and Belichick in football.
There you go, Coach. Oh man, it was really, really an honor to share space with you. You're a legend, and don't get enough credit. And really, until Mick made this little run, UCLA's and all the guys that we've had on from UCLA have talked about this. When you compare the brotherhood of Carolina and Duke and the way that they sort of approach hiring people and how people stay connected, I think Mick is doing a good job of sort of fixing some of the things that have been broken over the last, really since you were there. And so I'm glad that that's happened. And again, you don't get enough credit for what you did there, not only winning a national championship, and you had great years every year, and the camps were amazing. And you're a big reason why I've stayed in coaching for 30 years. And I can't thank you enough for allowing me to work your camp and being a part of, sort of your extended family or your tree sort of. And I know how valuable your time is. I genuinely appreciate you. Things coming full circle. I worked for you, and now you're coming on the podcast. It's just crazy how things work out. It's just amazing.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. Love to hear from all my guys.
Yeah. All right, Coach. Anything else you want to share with the world? We've been in 25 countries, and it's been an honor to share space with so many amazing people. Especially the UCLA people are always welcome here, and can't thank you enough for coming on.
Thank you, Mike, for having me. I always like to be, give back, and this is part of it. And I love it. Thank you very much.
All right, Coach. Anything we can do, please let us know, and best of luck navigating these crazy times.
Okay, Mike, thank you very much.
All right, much love and respect. All right, Coach. Thanks so much. Talk soon.
Mm-hmm.
Bye-bye. Wow, we've had some amazing guests on the show, but we haven't had anyone that's coached nearly 60 years, and it really, really was just a tremendous experience and an honor. And we can't thank Coach Harrick enough, again, for coming into the Sports Deli and getting that karma. And we hope all of you enjoyed it as much as I did. Remember, your voice matters when fighting systemic racism. Read a book, acknowledge your white privilege, watch a movie about institutional racism, call your local or state representatives, and or have a conversation with someone that doesn't look like you. We have to change the economic, educational, police, housing, prison, and voting suppression narratives that currently need to be changed in this country. And the only way to do that is to listen and learn and then help be a part of the mobilization and change that we want to see. Remember, you can always send us an email to thesportsdeli@gmail.com. Until next time, please mask up still. And I guess if you have had either the single dose or both doses of the vaccine, there is some evidence now that the chances are so low that you can get COVID that you don't necessarily have to wear the mask now. I'm choosing to do so still. But if you have not been vaccinated, please mask up. And remember, Black Lives Matter. Stop Asian hate. And remember, it takes a village. Until next time, peace.